After a nuclear war had destroyed all of humanity, 4 useless ugly office workers were summoned into another world by a goddess, and all of them were bestowed with broken abilities. But among them, there was a disgusting ugly lonely loser called Jiro, whose unique ability was online grocery shopping. Knowing how useless it is, he begged them to give him a different skill, but the count said he was too ugly, which was also why his wife had left him. The heroes gathered inside the castle and saw the disgusting Fatso King ruling the entire world, who told them that they would return to their worlds after defeating the Demon Lord. However, this sounded like a get-rich-quick scheme, so Jiro confessed to the king that he doesn't have any abilities for defeating the Demon Lord, and they sent him off to live in the country, giving him 20 gold coins to keep his mouth shut. As he walked around the city, all the villagers began whispering about his ugly face and started making fun of his horrible clothes. So Jiro decided to buy different attire to look like an NPC. After a long day of exploring the town, he realized that the royal family might come to execute him for knowing their secrets, so he decided to leave the town as soon as he could, but investigated his status abilities first. Before his eyes, he saw that he possessed the appraisal system, along with the infinite item box, and pressed his unique online grocery skill, causing a system to light up before his eyes. He had managed to log into an off-brand Walmart and tried buying some of their water along with cornbread. But when he tried pressing the purchase button, the system informed him that he needed to pay for his items. So he took out one of his coins and inserted it into the screen. A light shined next to him and a box flashed into existence, containing the items he just ordered. Jiro realized, but he could exploit the items on sale like an infinite money glitch, and live the rest of his life peacefully. The following morning, Jiro managed to get the last seat available on the next ride outside of this country, and along the way, he wondered if the merchant next to him stored his items inside an item box. But the man revealed that the item box skill was harder to find than a girl who's interested in his fat anus. On top of that, the appraisal skill is only gifted to those who reincarnated from another world, making Jiro realize that he needs to keep his powers hidden. By the time they reached the first checkpoint, however, Jiro realized that all travel had been suspended to the city of Keels, and a couple of adventurers told him that a war was about to begin soon, so he knew he couldn't stay inside of this checkpoint for long. At the Adventurers Guild, he asked the receptionist if he could hire a group of adventurers to escort him there, and paid 8 gold coins to have a group of C-rank adventurers. After hours of traveling, the group took a quick break to eat lunch, so Jiro ran to take out the portable stove he bought from his off-brand Walmart website, and prepared sandwiches for all of them. Warner took a bite of his food. As they began traveling once again, 2 giant moths began flying towards them, but the hero slashed them down with a single swing. And before Jiro could relax, a giant boar came running from the bushes, so Warner charged towards it, and worked together with his comrade to take the giant pig down. With all the meat that was dropped, Jiro offered to cook it as tonight's dinner. But when they began chewing on his meat, Jiro decided to use his appraisal skill on all of them, and saw that his food was boosting their strength and mana points by huge amounts. With his food being from another world, he realized that if the government learned about his secret, he would become a slave cooking for them. So he decided to keep the status boosts a secret for the time being. But a giant mysterious monster was watching over them from the distance. As they continued traveling for a few weeks, Jiro continued trying to hide his ability by using the meat and vegetables he found in the forest, and all the adventurers thought his meat was the best thing they've ever shoved into their mouth. They began putting his meat inside of their buns and shoving it down their throat, but they saw something that scared every single one of them. From behind Jiro, a giant Fenrir commanded him to offer some of his food, and told him to give him everything at this instant. Jiro tried giving the Fenrir the steak he created, and it ate all of it with a single bite. However, it wasn't enough, and told him to give it more. But since they were all out, Jiro asked the giant wolf if it would be able to wait while he prepared more food, so the wolf closed its eyes, telling him to hurry up. With all the meat he had left over, he tried preparing the wolf the biggest meal he could. But the wolf wanted even more, so he continued working as fast as possible to prepare all of the food it asked for. After hours of cooking, the Fenrir was finally satisfied, and it said it can't believe something so delicious could be made from a disgusting ugly man like him. But it makes perfect sense, because he could never get a girlfriend with that ugly ad face, so he needed to learn how to cook since he's going to be lonely for the rest of his life. However, the wolf told him that it had taken a liking to him, and asked him to form a familiar contract with it. Jiro realized that this is a beast that made adventurers shake in fear, so he tried rejecting. But the wolf growled at him, so he tried rejecting again. But when the wolf was about to eat him alive, Jiro realized that he had no choice but to accept, and walked up to the Fenrir, touching his forehead with it, and a magical aura appeared around him. They had now formed a contract, and Jiro's dumbass just signed up to feed the Fenrir his meat 3 times a day. With their bond now formed, the giant Fenrir asked Jiro for a name, so he decided to name it Fatso. But the wolf told him that he's playing with his life, so Jiro decided to call it Pachita. But the Fenrir told him he's thinking of the wrong anime. So since it was a Fenrir, Jiro decided to call him Fel, and the Fenrir thought it was the greatest name ever. Throughout the weeks that followed, the party was getting closer to the border, but they had no idea what to do about Fel, since he's the mythical Fenrir that's been talked about in legends. Jiro realized that the entire nation's army will come to take him away, but Fel assured him that everything will be fine, as long as he made him food already. At their rest stop, Jiro reached into his item box, but realized they were down to their last slab of meat. So with nothing to feed Fel, he commanded him to hunt for some meat if he truly wanted it. So Fel ran off to go hunt some animals to bring back. All of the adventurers thought it was amazing how he could order a legendary beast around. But it came back with a legendary cockatrice, and told him to hurry up and cook it before it ate his cockatrice.
What do you mean by that?
With all the bird meat, Jiro decided to make some Popeyes for the team, and spent 2 hours cooking the entire cockatrice for Fel to enjoy. Once they were back to adventuring, they were finally at the border of the kingdom, and Werner told them that he'll be going ahead to explain the legendary beast situation. Jiro hoped that nothing bad happens, but because of his ugly face, the guards surrounded them anyway. The leader wondered if the Fenrir was truly under Jiro's orders, so Jiro commanded him to promise that he won't hurt any of the people. Before everyone, Fel promised that he will do nothing to harm any of the citizens, so the guards decided to allow him into their kingdom, on the condition that he holds Fel on a leash. At the gate, a man charged Jiro 5 silver coins for not having a guilt card, so after they walked deeper into the town, the party leader explained that the king will know about the legendary Fenrir entering his kingdom, crushing all of Jiro's hopes for a peaceful life. However, he revealed that he planned on living his life in this new world, traveling around, while scamming people for all their Robux. So Werner told him to get a merchant and adventurer card in order to use the popular roads for free, but he told Jiro that it was time for them to depart ways. Now that they were gone, Jiro began heading towards the merchant's guild, telling Fel that he planned on selling the things he can't devour, like claws and hides. Once they arrived at the guild, all the men were shocked to see a giant wolf following him peacefully, and the hot attendant tried explaining the procedure of signing up for him. There are 5 ranks in the guild, so all of his fees will be determined by his rank. Since he's just starting, he will be given the iron rank, the lowest of all of them. But she told him that they'd be willing to buy anything he's selling. As they walked back to the inn, Jiro revealed that Fel will have to sleep outside during the night. But Fel told him that he's hungry, so Jiro began preparing some food for his giant wolf. He realized that it's been months without eating rice, but that would require him to buy an additional stove. However, he still decided to buy it since it would help his cooking speed, and bought one last secret ingredient. As he cooked the steak on the pan, he decided to keep it rare, just like the chances of him finding a girl who'd love his ugly face. Once it was done, he added some garlic sauce to the steak, and Fel took a bite, realizing that it was delicious. But for his next bite, he noticed that it tasted completely different from before, so Jiro showed him that he used the Parmesan sauce instead of garlic this time, and began showing him all the different flavors he could create. As he ate all of his food, Fel thought it was amazing how the same thing could taste so different with just a different addition, so he asked him for some more of the white murky liquid that came out of the meat. Jiro told him that certain flavor only comes out once a day, and continued feeding him throughout the night. The rice he had prepared was finally ready, so he added his steak with some steak sauce. After Jiro was finally done feeding Fel, he needed to do something with a different kind of meat before tomorrow. At the Merchant's Guild, Jiro handed her all the stuff he prepared from yesterday. Guess he was just preparing some meat. What did you all think he was doing, you sick fucks? The girl took one look at his exotic meat and told him that she needed to talk to the guildmaster first. When she came back, she told him that the guildmaster wanted to have a private meeting with him, and he began sniffing the black balls in front of him. This was the finest pepper he'd ever seen in his life, so he told Jiro that he wanted to buy all of it, and offered to buy the salt for 4 gold coins, while the pepper he could buy for 10 gold coins. Jiro was shocked hearing his words, because in this world, a gold coin is worth $1,000, while a copper coin costs a single dollar. On his online market, he bought each of them for $5 and realized that he had stumbled upon the biggest infinite money glitch to exist. Seeing that he wasn't responding, the guild master decided to offer 15 gold coins for both of them together, but kept raising the prices all the way up to 17 coins when Jiro was silent. He finally accepted the deal, and Jiro realized that he just made $17,000 and created his own crypto rug pull. As great as it was, Jiro swore that he wouldn't do this too often. All that was left was heading to the Adventurers Guild. But when he tried registering, the girl told him to fill out the application and handed him his card, telling his ugly age to piss off already. However, Jiro wondered what the rules of the guild were, so she revealed that everyone has a rank from A to G, with S being the highest. Additionally, he starts at G rank and can accept quests from a rank above him, but must complete at least one mission every month. As he went towards the quest board, he saw a quest that required him to gather some rare flowers and decided to head out. Later that day, Jiro decided to appraise Fell's stats while he was eating, and saw that all of those numbers were nearly maxed out. But in his eyes, Phil was nothing more than a fat lard who was on track to getting diabetes. The next day, Jiro was finally ready to go on his first quest, but Phil begged him to stop ignoring him and make some food already. When they arrived into the fields, Phil was still hungry, but Jiro told him to go hunt if he wanted some more meat. However, Phil was reluctant to leave him alone in an area filled with dangerous monsters, so before leaving, he activated his magical powers to cast an energy shield onto Jiro, and ran away to get some more food. Jiro looked throughout the field and decided to use his appraisal skill to spot the rare flowers easily, so he began collecting them and finished the quest within a few minutes. With all the free time he had, he decided to start preparing lunch right away and bought a bunch of pasta ingredients for the day. As he was preparing the meal, Fel came back with another cicatrice, but told him that there were a lot of monsters that he left at the edge of the forest for him to grab after his meal. Once the pasta was finally done, Fel took a single bite before realizing this was his new favorite food. So Jiro told him he can give him some more white liquid, and began spraying the sticky liquid all over his food.
Oh, hell no! Hell no!
This was the greatest thing that Fel had ever tasted, and Jiro was glad that he was still able to eat the food from his previous world. Back inside the forest, Jiro saw the pile of S-rank monsters that Fel had defeated, but he wondered if Fel was truly planning on eating all of these animals. Once he was done storing everything away, Fel told him to hop on, saying that he would save him a lot of time by running faster. Within seconds of being on top of Fel, he realized that he was going faster than his body could handle. But they made it back to the town within a few minutes. Jiro reminded Fel that no one would want to cook food for his lonely ass if he was to pass away. At the Adventurers Guild, Jiro completed his first quest and finally received payment, but he wanted to know if he could sell the remains of his monsters to the guild, so the butcher told him that he'll be taking care of him. Inside the large warehouse, Jiro pulled out all of his monsters, and the butcher told him that this was the largest number of monsters he'd ever seen in his life, so it'll take him a day to extract all the meat out and sell the hard remains. However, Jiro asked him if he could butcher just one of the monsters for tonight's meal, so the butcher suggested cutting the orc up, since the meat is delicious. Once all of it had been chopped up, Jiro wondered how to cook this new type of meat, and began beating it while whisking some eggs, and sprayed some flour on top of it. After dipping it into the eggs, Jiro fried it in the pan, and after putting it into his dish, he poured some meat sauce on top, creating a new delicious meal. Fel took a bite and wanted to eat this forever, but when Jiro was about to eat it himself, he remembered that this was a disgusting orc's meat, but decided to try it anyway. The following morning, Jiro went back to the butcher and saw the mountain of meat he had prepared for him. The butcher handed him the 202 gold coins he had earned from all of the items that were left over, and gave him the magic stones that overflowed with mana potential, since they were dropped by A-rank monsters and higher. While they walked around the city, Jiro realized that they needed to leave this place immediately, before the rest of the citizens discovered how rich he's become. Once they had made it outside of the kingdom's borders, Jiro realized that they were too rich to be eating some broken food, so he asked Fel if he would like to enjoy something new for tonight. With all the different options before their eyes, Jiro decided to buy some off-brand Panda Express, and Fel began drooling on him from seeing all the new tasty meats. 2 boxes appeared before their eyes, and Jiro put them all together for him to eat, while he prepared the most expensive Wagyu steak he could afford. When he was done, Fel was sad because of how small it is. However, Jiro told him that it's the heart that matters more, but remembered that his wife left him for a bigger persuasion. After being convinced, Fel decided to take a single bite and realized that this was the best meat he'd ever eaten in his life, and begged him for more, so Jiro kept pouring him even more food. After they enjoyed their meal together, nighttime had arrived, and Fel felt like he was the most powerful being in existence. So Jiro decided to appraise his skills and realized that his stats had increased by 50%. With all this energy, Fel wanted to light his heart ablaze and go beyond his limits. So he casted a protection barrier around Jiro to protect him while he took off for the night. Once he was gone, Jiro created a makeshift futon and fell asleep while Fel continued running around the forest. Before long, he approached a rockbird that he took down with a single slash, and when a legendary moose appeared, Fel struck it down instantly with his lightning magic. Beneath him, the king of the orcs appeared and began rushing toward Fel, but he dodged his attack and snuck up from the back, defeating him in an instant. Before he was able to take his meat away, a giant chimera appeared to threaten Fel, but he casted his ultimate lightning attack, sending it towards the monster to devour it. The night had finally passed, and Jiro wondered what the fuck he was seeing, so Fel told him that he had so much energy after last night that he managed to destroy mythical beasts with a single attack. After hearing those words, Jiro decided to eternally remove Wagyu off the menu. As the days passed with Jiro feeding Fel, he wondered if Fel was able to defeat the monsters using magic, so Fel revealed that he was blessed by the goddess Ninrir to be the best wind magic user. However, Jiro wondered how he was supposed to use magic, and saw that his status window revealed he had 100 magic points, but still didn't know how to use any of them. So when he asked Fel how to use it, Fel revealed that he could just use magic by imagining the power flowing through your body. Jiro wondered how he could imagine a fireball coming out of him, and used all of his energy to unleash his ultimate spell.
Fireball!
Was something supposed to happen?
Fel made Jiro touch him to show him how magic flew through his body, so he told him to imagine the energy moving around like a river inside of him. With a bottle set up in front of him, Jiro finally managed to create a fireball. Fel called him a useless, pathetic loser, which isn't surprising considering how ugly he is, so he's going to force him into practicing on real monsters instead, and dragged him deep into the forest. As they snuck around a goblin camp, Fel howled to announce their location, causing all the goblins to start chasing after him. Fel told him that he was going to leave him to take care of some other monsters. Jiro began casting fireballs to burn their faces off. When he turned back to run, he tripped on a rock and the goblins jumped on top of him. A barrier saved him from being annihilated, so he started casting his fireballs to burn them away. With only 7 goblins remaining, Jiro released all of his energy into the last fireball to explode them in their place, but fell down after depleting all of his mana. However, some of the goblins were still standing and ready to destroy him, so Fel stepped in front of them to protect him as he fell unconscious. At night, Jiro woke up screaming, but Fel asked him if he enjoyed his first battle. Jiro told him he had more fun when kids roasted his mom for being so fat at school, and started crying remembering how bad his memories were. But Fel laughed at him and said he doesn't need to worry about his mom because he used to take care of her at night.
What do you mean by that?
Fel sensed that his magical level went up, and Jiro noticed that he went up 10 levels, so Fel presented him with a little gift, and told him to take the magical stone from the Goblin King he hunted. However, he knew those magical stones could be exchanged for money, so he begged Jiro to give him some Wagyu steak from his world in exchange. But Jiro screamed at him, saying that he would never let him eat it ever again. As he got up to walk away, he realized that all of his energy was still depleted, so he decided to just buy some food out for today, and began opening hundreds of dessert packs. This was the greatest thing Fel had ever smelled, so he decided to give it a try, and after a single bite, he began devouring all of the sweets. After he finished the entire bowl, he begged Jiro for even more food, but when Jiro told him that he might end up getting diabetes from eating like Yuya before he entered the other world, Fel revealed that his blessing from the goddess allows him to be immune from all negative status effects. Knowing how powerful he is, Jiro begged the Buddha or any god listening to bless him already, so a goddess heard his words and smiled at him. The following morning, the guards surrounded Jiro again for having the ugliest face in the kingdom. But when he showed them his guild card and assured them that Fel was just a great wolf, the guards allowed him to go inside. However, Fel's voice screeched into his head, saying that he isn't a great wolf, and told him that he can telepathically communicate with him whenever he wanted to. When they got inside, Jiro was about to leave Fel inside the shed, but he asked him if he's leaving him for another wolf. When Jiro told him that he was just looking for a map, Fel said that whoever this map girl Jiro's going to see is probably ugly. When Jiro arrived at the library, he asked the librarian if he sold any maps. He thought that the big central library might contain a map in there, but the entire day passed, and he wasted $500 just to enter. By the time he got back, Fel was sad that he spent all his day with a different wolf, and Jiro realized that his day was only getting worse, so he decided to buy him a new type of food from his world. As he tasted the food, he completely forgot about the other wolf as Fel kept chewing down on the food. He thought Jiro's meat was the best thing he had ever tasted in his life and kept stuffing it down his throat. Eventually, Jiro's rice was ready, so he began dipping his meat in some sauce and placed it on top of the rice so that it would gain a richer flavor. The fat fuck stared at his food while drooling and begged him to feed him again. The next day at the PG Grape Juice Distillery, Jiro decided to ask a bunch of men if they had time for his questions. But when they told him to piss off, Jiro offered to buy them some apple cider vinegar, so they started being friendly and told him that he can ask anything he desired. Jiro revealed that he's been traveling around the world and asked them if they knew of a way to get access to maps. So the travelers stared at each other and smiled. The leader told him that he has a map that he obtained illegally, so he told him to keep his mouth quiet and handed him a copy of his map. He told him that even though it's made out of expensive paper, he's willing to give it to him for the cheap price of $1,000. So Jiro thought about it long and hard and decided to pay the gold coin for it. The men wished him good luck before leaving, but all the people drinking began bursting in laughter in his face. They asked him if he bought a map and showed him that they had them as well, explaining that the Adventurers Guild hands them out for $1, and Jiro was angry that he fell for the oldest RuneScape scam of all time. While they walked in the forest, Phil tried comforting him because money can always be gained back, but his face can never be fixed.
Emotional damage!